This is the story of a legendary sniper who could hit targets from miles away, even while blindfolded, but he was not always like that. There was a time when he was just an ordinary math teacher. He hated war, violence, and weapons. Then, one tragic incident changed his life forever and turned him into a deadly sniper. The story begins in a small village in Ukraine. A married couple lives happily in a modest house. The man's name is Nikola, and his wife's name is Nastia. Nastia is a talented artist who creates beautiful wooden sculptures. Nikola works as a math teacher at a nearby school. He is quiet, honest, and dedicated to his profession. Most of the students respect him. However, a boy named Ivan constantly makes fun of him. Ivan comes from a wealthy family and often brags about his family's status. He frequently mocks Nikola's clothing and appearance in front of the entire class. His goal is to make Nikola lose his temper so he can report him and get him dismissed from his job. Despite this, Nikola remains calm and avoids confrontation. He lives a very simple life. His home does not even have modern devices like a television. Because of this, he knows very little about what is happening in the outside world. One day at school, he sees a news broadcast on television. The report states that Russia has launched attacks on Ukraine. According to the news, several soldiers have lost their lives, and multiple regions have come under enemy control. That evening, Nikola returns home and receives wonderful news. He learns that Nastia is expecting a baby. The news fills him with happiness. The couple celebrates the special moment together. The following morning, Nikola says goodbye to his wife and heads to school on his bicycle. While traveling, he notices two soldiers smoking cigarettes along the road. Their uniforms look different from those worn by Ukrainian troops. Nikola finds it unusual but assumes that new uniforms may have been introduced. Without giving it much thought, he continues on his way. When he arrives at school, he is shocked. The building is completely empty. Not a single student is present. Moments later, he learns from the television that Russian forces have entered Ukraine. He suddenly realizes that the soldiers he saw earlier were not Ukrainian troops. The thought immediately makes him worry about Nastia. He quickly grabs his bicycle and rushes back home. Unfortunately, he arrives too late. He finds two soldiers violently attacking Nastia. Nikola immediately tries to protect her, but the soldiers turn on him as well. He repeatedly begs them to stop, explaining that his wife is pregnant. The soldiers ignore his pleas. After some time, one of them enters the house searching for valuables. When he finds nothing of value, he sets the house on fire. As the flames spread through their home, Nastia becomes furious. She grabs a nearby stone and fights back against the soldiers. In response, one of the soldiers fires a shot in anger. The bullet strikes Nastia, and she falls to the ground. Nikola is shattered by what he sees. He rushes to her side, holds her in his arms, and cries uncontrollably. A few hours later, two Ukrainian soldiers arrive at the scene. They were also heartbroken by the sight of Nastia's body. They comforted Nikola and helped dig a grave for her. They then asked him to lay his wife to rest. Nikola was completely devastated. Everything he cared about had been taken from him. The enemy soldiers had taken his wife, destroyed his home, and robbed him of his unborn child. This tragedy filled him with a burning desire for revenge. He decided that he would make those responsible pay for what they had done. To do that, he believed there was only one path forward. He had to join the Ukrainian army. Nikola pleaded with the two soldiers to take him with them. He told them that he wanted to fight for his country. Understanding his pain, the soldiers agreed and brought him to a military base. Before leaving, Nikola took a small wooden figurine made by Nastia. It was one of the few things he had left to remember her by. When they arrived at the base, a senior officer was not pleased to see him. The officer suspected that Nikola might be an enemy spy. He questioned the two soldiers and demanded detailed information about him. Nikola then shared his story. He explained how enemy soldiers had killed his wife and burned down his home. He told the officer that he had nothing left to lose. All he wanted was to defend his country and take revenge on those who had destroyed his life. After hearing everything, the officer finally agreed to let him join the army. The next day, Nikola's military training began. The training was extremely difficult for him. After all, he had spent most of his life as a math teacher. His world had always revolved around books, numbers, and education. He had no experience with weapons or combat. While the other recruits quickly learned how to handle their equipment, Nikola often struggled to keep up. Watching this, the officer began to doubt whether he would ever become a capable soldier. Despite the challenges, Nikola refused to quit. He continued pushing himself and worked hard every day. One night during training, he made an unusual request. He asked his superior officer not to call him by his real name. Instead, he wanted to be known as Raven. The other soldiers burst into laughter after hearing this. The officer explained that such names could not simply be chosen. They had to be earned through actions and achievements. He told Nikola that a soldier must first accomplish something meaningful for his country. Nikola did not feel insulted by the response. Instead, it strengthened his determination. From that moment on, he trained even harder. Long after the other soldiers had gone to sleep, he continued practicing on his own. One day, the officer gathered all the recruits together. He informed them that the army was facing a shortage of skilled snipers. They urgently needed accurate marksmen to fight against the enemy. He then asked if anyone wanted to train as a sniper. Several soldiers stepped forward. Nikola was one of them. As soon as the others saw him volunteer, they laughed once again. The officer looked at Nikola and told him that he was not ready. He explained that Nikola still struggled with basic weapon handling. In his opinion, becoming a sniper was far beyond Nikola's current abilities. However, Nikola refused to back back down. With confidence, he declared that he could become an excellent sniper. All he needed was a chance to prove himself. Seeing Nikola's confidence, the officer decided to test him. He challenged Nikola to assemble a rifle within 20 seconds. To demonstrate his skills, Nikola first blindfolded himself. He then completely disassembled and reassembled the weapon in just 18 seconds. His speed and precision amazed everyone present. The soldiers who had previously mocked him now applauded his performance. Even the senior officer was impressed. As a result, he decided to enroll Nikola in sniper training. During the training, most recruits received modern rifles. However, Nikola was given an old and outdated weapon. After seeing the rifle, he requested a better one. The officer refused and told him that he would have to earn it through his performance. With no other choice, Nikola continued his training with the same rifle. Later, the officer explained an important rule to all the trainee snipers. He said that a true sniper never abandons a position under any circumstances. No matter how dangerous the situation becomes, a sniper must remain focused on the target. To test their discipline, the officer suddenly fired a shot nearby during training. Any recruit who flinched, moved, or reacted in fear was immediately disqualified. When Nikola's turn came, he remained completely still. His attention never left the target. As a result, he successfully passed the test. The next challenge tested their memory and focus. The trainees were allowed to view the target only once. After that, their eyes were covered, and they had to aim based entirely on memory. Several soldiers managed to pass the exercise. When Nikola took his shot, he missed the target by a small margin. Because of this, he failed the test. The outdated rifle made accurate aiming much more difficult for him. Even so, everyone realized that with a better weapon, he likely would have succeeded. Another difficult challenge followed soon after. This time, the trainees had to shoot in complete darkness, using only the brief light provided by flares. The officer launched several flares into the night sky. The soldiers quickly fired their shots as soon as the area lit up. However, none of them managed to hit the target. Nikola chose a different approach. Instead of rushing, he carefully observed the timing and movement of the flares. He realized that shooting directly toward the light would not guarantee accuracy. Using his mathematical skills, he calculated the distance, angle, and timing. After finding the perfect moment, he pulled the trigger. His shot struck the target with remarkable accuracy. The officer and the other soldiers were stunned. No one had ever completed this challenging test successfully before. Nikola became the first trainee to achieve it. Impressed by his outstanding performance, the officer finally awarded him the codename Raven. As the days passed, Nikola continued to train and improve. Eventually, the final results of the training program were announced. The colonel saluted Nikola and informed him that he was officially ready for active duty. A few days later, the colonel returned with new orders. He instructed Nikola to prepare his equipment for an upcoming mission. Intelligence reports indicated that enemy forces had taken control of a strategic checkpoint. This was the moment when the real battle was about to begin. Nikola's team immediately headed toward the location. After arriving, the soldiers took up their positions and began observing enemy activity. A short time later, movement was spotted nearby. A vehicle was seen approaching the checkpoint. Recognizing the situation, the colonel quickly ordered everyone to hold their fire. Meanwhile, enemy troops stopped the vehicle and ordered the passengers to step outside. They inspected everyone's identification documents and thoroughly searched the vehicle. After finding nothing suspicious, they allowed the passengers to leave. However, they kept the passengers' passports. When the civilians demanded their documents back, the soldiers responded with violence and began beating them. Seeing this, the colonel immediately ordered his team to engage. Within seconds, the snipers opened fire together. Their shots were precise and effective. The confrontation ended almost immediately. The enemy soldiers were eliminated, and the mission was successfully completed. After returning to base camp, Nikola noticed that several soldiers were missing. Curious, he asked where they had gone. He was informed that they had been assigned to a different operation. The following day, devastating news reached the camp. Many of those soldiers had lost their lives. They had been targeted by a highly skilled enemy sniper. The sniper was known as Siri and was considered one of the most dangerous marksmen among the enemy forces. A few days later, Nikola and his team received another assignment. They traveled to the designated area and planted mines throughout the region. Once the preparations were complete, the soldiers took up their positions and waited. Not long afterward, enemy troops entered the area. As Nikola observed them, he was shocked to recognize one of the faces. It was Ivan, the same student who used to mock him at school. Now, Ivan was serving with the opposing forces. When the colonel gave the order to attack, Nikola hesitated for a brief moment. The thought of taking the life of a former student weighed heavily on him. However, he quickly regained his focus. Instead of aiming directly at the soldiers, he targeted the explosives hidden in the area. His shot triggered a powerful blast. The explosion eliminated the enemy force, including Ivan. After the operation, the colonel spoke with Nikola. He asked why he had hesitated before firing. Nikola then explained the situation. He revealed that one of the enemy soldiers had once been his student. Because of that connection, he found it difficult to pull the trigger. The colonel listened carefully before responding. He reminded Nikola that Ivan was no longer a student. He was now a soldier fighting for the opposing side. The colonel explained that personal personal emotions could not interfere with military decisions. If a soldier allowed feelings to take control, the entire mission could be placed at risk. After the mission, the team returned safely to base camp. By this point, the colonel had developed complete confidence in Nikola. The two began spending more time together. One day, the colonel showed Nikola a photograph of his family. He explained that he had 2 daughters. The girls did not even know that their father served in the military. They believed that he worked as a businessman. Even his wife had hidden the truth from their daughters for many years. Nikola then shared his own story. He explained how enemy soldiers had taken his wife from him and destroyed his life. As he spoke, emotions overwhelmed him. The colonel comforted him and encouraged him to stay strong. The next morning, they received another important mission. Intelligence reports suggested that a group of enemy soldiers would soon pass through a specific route. The colonel and Nikola immediately moved to the location. After arriving, they took up positions behind cover and began observing the area. A short time later, they spotted 2 enemy soldiers waiting for the rest of their unit. As Nikola watched them through his scope, he suddenly froze. He recognized one of the men. It was the soldier responsible for his wife's death. A wave of anger rushed through him. Nikola immediately asked the colonel for permission to fire. The colonel refused and said that it was not the right moment. However, Nikola's anger continued to build. The man who had destroyed his family was standing right in front of him. Once again, he requested permission to shoot. The colonel stopped him and ordered him to wait. This time, Nikola could not control his emotions. Ignoring orders, he pulled the trigger. The bullet struck the soldier and killed him instantly. Unfortunately, the shot revealed their position to the enemy. The colonel angrily demanded to know why Nikola had acted without permission, but by then the damage had already been done. The enemy's most feared sniper, Siri, had also detected their location. The colonel immediately began searching for the sniper's position. Before he could react, a perfectly aimed shot rang out. The bullet struck the colonel and killed him instantly. Nikola was shocked by what had happened. He immediately realized that his actions had led to the tragedy. Within moments, intense enemy fire erupted around them. Explosions and gunfire echoed across the battlefield. Realizing the situation was becoming impossible, Nikola decided to retreat. He picked up the colonel's body and began moving away from the area. After a difficult escape, he managed to avoid the enemy and return to base camp. The colonel's death deeply affected him. He blamed himself for everything that had happened. At that moment, he made a promise to himself. He would one day eliminate Siri and avenge the colonel. Sometime later, Nikola received information about 2 enemy snipers operating nearby. Without hesitation, he set out on another mission. After reaching the location, he quickly identified the first target. He took aim and eliminated the sniper. As he prepared to target the second one, another hidden sniper opened fire from behind. The shot struck Nikola in the arm. He was badly wounded. Even so, he refused to give up. Fighting through the pain, he regained his focus and eliminated the second sniper as well. Because of his injuries, he was forced to retreat and remain hidden for a while. During this time, he received a call from an army major. The major informed him that they had finally discovered the identity of the sniper who had killed the colonel. Hearing this, Nikola immediately returned to base. After arriving, the major gathered the soldiers and explained the situation. He revealed that the sniper's name was Siri. He was considered the enemy's most dangerous and accurate marksman. It was said that Siri rarely missed a target. He had already eliminated several highly skilled snipers. Because of this, the major warned everyone not to underestimate him. The major also revealed that Siri recorded many of his attacks. He would then distribute the footage to spread fear among opposing forces. His objective was to weaken the morale of enemy soldiers and pressure them into giving up. The major further explained that Siri usually operated from a fixed position. He was known for his exceptional accuracy while remaining in the same location for long periods. After reviewing all the information, the team developed a plan to eliminate him. The soldiers were divided into 2 groups. The first group would launch an attack from the front and distract the enemy. At the same time, the second group would move in from the rear. During the confusion, Nikola would enter the building and locate Siri. Once he found him, he would take him out. After the strategy was finalized, the soldiers headed out on the mission. When they reached the location, each sniper moved into position. Meanwhile, Nikola quietly entered the building. Shortly after entering, he spotted 2 enemy soldiers having a conversation. Without hesitation, he eliminated both of them and continued forward. As planned, he sent a signal to his team. The moment the signal was received, the snipers outside opened fire. Within a short time, the visible enemy soldiers had been neutralized. Meanwhile, Siri noticed that his men were no longer responding. He immediately sensed that something was wrong. He rushed to the rooftop where one of his snipers had been stationed. However, when he arrived, he discovered that the sniper was already gone. At that moment, he realized that enemy forces had surrounded the area. Siri quickly contacted his base and requested immediate support. He was informed that reinforcements would arrive within 10 minutes. Without wasting time, he returned to his position and began searching for the intruder. Suddenly, he noticed a small wooden figurine nearby. It was the keepsake that Nikola always carried with him. The figurine was the last reminder of his wife. Before Siri could fully react, Nikola launched his attack. A fierce struggle followed between the 2 men. In the end, Nikola gained the upper hand and eliminated Siri. The sound of the confrontation alerted another enemy sniper inside the building. Before the sniper could respond, Nikola threw a grenade in his direction. The explosion and eliminated the last remaining enemy inside. Moments later, enemy reinforcements arrived at the building. They had no idea that Siri had already been defeated. The soldiers attempted to contact him through their radio. Instead, Nikola answered. He warned them that none of them would leave the area safely. Immediately afterward, he fired at the vehicle's driver. The sudden attack caused panic among the soldiers. They quickly jumped out of the truck and spread out. What they did not realize was that they had stepped directly into a trap. Ukrainian snipers hidden around the area opened fire from multiple positions. One by one, the enemy soldiers were taken down. A few days later, Nikola visited his wife's grave. He stood there quietly, reflecting on everything that had happened. At last, he felt that he had completed the mission that had driven him for so long. Those responsible for destroying his life were gone. He had also avenged the colonel's death. Standing before the grave, he made one final promise. He vowed to continue serving his country for the rest of his life. With that, he turned and walked away. The story comes to an end.